I'm Joy Hogue with Families as Allies, and I'm very happy to be here today with Mr. Luckett and Coach Greer, and we're going to talk a little bit about the SEEDS project that they're involved in. And SEEDS is a program that is out of the Community Students Learning Center in Lexington. And that's an organization that's near and dear to the hearts of Families as Allies. We've worked with you guys for the last 3 or 4 years. And one thing there's very many things we appreciate about you guys, but one thing that has really touched my heart is that organization was started by parents for other parents. And we know the power that's in that and continues to be in that, and how many families you guys have supported for many years. Seeds is a relatively new project, so we wanted to give y'all a chance to talk about that, to tell us a little bit about Seeds, Mr. Luckett, and I know you're the project director. And then for the two of you all to describe to us some of the very creative ways you have found to reach out to children in ways that really matter. So I'm going to turn it over to the two of you, and Mr. Luckett, if you want to start just by describing Seeds, and then y'all can tell us what you've been doing.
Okay, yeah, Joy, thanks for the intro. And the feeling is mutual as far as our relationship. I have really learned a lot from your different knobs and interactions on how parents really are important when we are talking about the the education or the betterment of the lives of their kids. We are talking about the entity that knows best, and that's uh, the parents and family. And you have have really learned me a lot along those lines. But briefly, just a little history on the Community Student Learning Center. Uh, we are a nonprofit grassroots organization that started in 2003 in Lexington, Mississippi. And as Joy said, the organization was founded because our founders, Mr. Leslie and Beulah Greer, they will have a child that 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 had some mental needs, and the school, uh, because of different guidelines that they have, would not let her graduate with her class, and that was very frustrating to the founders of Community Student Learning Center. And in essence, they decided that families needed more advocacy at the local level, and thus the Community Student Learning Center was founded. Uh, Through the Community Student Learning Center, SAMHSA, we actually received this grant, which is mental health behavior intervention type grant from SAMHSA in April of 2001. And the purpose of the program is to provide skills, kids with resiliency skills, uh, where they can grow and bloom. Uh, the goal of the program is to decrease risk factors from uh, that kids may develop as related to mental health issues and substance misuse, and strengthen their protective factors, where in if they experience trauma as it relates to disasters, whether natural or man-made. And that's the gist of the purpose of the program. We actually have classes uh, that we are use one particular we have program for pre-K through eighth graders, and then we have another curriculum for high schools, which Coach Greer is the main implementer of our high school we're program, and I'll let her tell you about that. But kind of a little bit of a history of how I met Coach Greer and how we decided to use the PE classes as a tool of implementing the program. Is that Coach Greer is well known throughout the Holmes County School District. She is a bright, budding coach in the district and actually the state. She has a state championship under her belt. In this past recent year, we almost got there. We reached the finals, but we fell just a couple points short. But the thing that I want to highlight about Coach Greer is not necessarily her accomplishments as a coach, but her relationship to students and how she has influenced so many students in their daily lives. And in noticing that, I thought, wow, we have a behavioral health program where we are trying to strengthen resiliency skills among students. And I also noticed through my life how students feel to be more at home or more in a natural environment when they are in their PE class. Students have respect for all teachers and interact with them, but in their PE class, it just appears that they are more in a natural type setting, and that's the perfect setting if you are dealing with issues that are personal to you. You want to be in a setting where you feel comfortable and that you can relate to, and that's how I approach Coach Greer as far as where I thought she would be a perfect fit for the program and how we could impact students and build their resiliency skills, whether it was a natural disaster. The grant was based around the flood somewhere around Easter of 2019. But in the midst of implementing the grant, of course, we all were impacted by COVID, and I think those stresses were more relevant to the students than than the floods of 2019. So Coach Greer seen this, I think, as another opportunity to be more effective in her communications and the impact that she could have on the lives of her students. So from there, I'll give Coach Greer an opportunity to just talk about, uh, say, how she briefed herself for the program and what strategies she used to implement the program.
Good afternoon. Such wonderful things being said about me. Interesting. Thank you. When I was approached from Mr. Luckett about this program, it kind of hit home for me. Being as how I'm a young lady that's dealt with a lot of trauma, whether it's been personal trauma, having to move abruptly, different aspects of my own life, and I didn't have any coping mechanisms. So therefore, when he approached me about the seed program, I thought this would be something very, very important for our kids to learn. So therefore, when I looked over the curriculum and I knew that our kids could really, really benefit from learning some of these strategies and tools. And it's kind of like Mr. Luckett said, when you're a PE teacher or a coach, kids just feel a little bit more comfortable with you than they do their mainstream teacher when there's so much rigor in the classroom. Kind of with me, they can kind of let loose a little bit and be themselves. So implementing the program was pretty much easy because of the relationship that I had with children. But some of the strategies that we used or that I used was simply teaching them problem solving techniques, how to deal with problems and issues. Also teaching them about how to deal with emotions and anger because a lot of our kids and I told Mr. Luckett one time before within our culture, we're just not taught how to deal with emotion and anger. Then sometimes we lash out. I've even had a young lady come back and tell me, that she learned to listen to music to walk away, just trying to teach them different skills to use when they're being, dealing with different emotions. And I know the program is geared towards natural disasters, but I felt during COVID, not only do you help them deal with different things when it comes to natural disasters, even though COVID is one, so to speak, but teach them how to deal with, death and dying, because when asking them certain questions, that's what a lot of them had issues with, dealing with death and dying and some other issues. So this particular program actually helped in all aspects of that. And it felt good to teach it and having kids to come back. I even had one parent come back to say that her kid was a kind of a had behavior issues, and he was just lash out all the time. But he would take some of the strategies and techniques that we taught in class and utilize them in other people's classroom, and that helped him. And she was able to see the change in her child. Another thing I spoke with Mr. Luckett about, I really believe this particular program could take off next year, because a lot of the kids wanted to be open and learn so much more, but you just didn't have the anonymity that the classroom would hold, since we were virtual the whole year. So I believe that once we come back to a classroom setting, we could kind of do a little bit more one-on-one. I believe that it would be even more beneficial to our students. And I'm just grateful to be a part of such an amazing program. And I thank Mr. Luckett for the opportunity.
You guys have done a great job. And first of all, I have to tell you, Coach Greer, I'm going to be just a mom for a second. I raised and am raising a baseball player, and I can attest that nobody makes as much difference to an athlete or to a kid as their coach, just in the day-to-day world. So I'm so grateful to you for realizing, seeing that whole child and everything you're doing. And we look a lot at systems issues in the state and across the country and all that. And the fact we don't have a lot of mental health support in the state, and we will never, ever have as many mental health providers as we might want or need. And that's definitely an issue to address. But I have so much respect for the two of you, and you're in an area that's particularly underserved, that you sat down and thought, we have these children who need some support, and we've got these tools that we can share with these kids that are going to support their mental health. And you figured out such an effective way through going through you, and I think maybe one other coach, and getting that support out there to those children. And it sounds like to them, it just became part of their world, and they readily received it. And you guys have opened up all kinds of doors. So that's just terrific. And I'm going to brag about y'all for just a minute. And I don't think I can't remember if you got to be on this call, Coach Greer, but I had the opportunity to be on a national call with Mr. Luckett when he was sharing about the program. And it was so exciting that when y'all started describing this particular part that you were doing with through the PE teachers and through coaches, there were people across the country who just lit up and were like, teach us how to do that. We want to do that. And I was so excited for what you guys are doing for children and families in Mississippi. And also there was a part of me that wanted to go and take that, all of y'all who are always thinking that Mississippi can't do anything. You guys are the shining stars in something Mississippi's doing really well. And I'm so grateful to you. Do y'all have anything that you wanted to say about what you're doing that you didn't get a chance to say?
Well, we were kind of limited to the PE class, and I count that as a blessing. But hopefully next year we'll be able to implement the program, and I'm going to use Coach Greer as our ambassador to kind of see if our administrators can see the importance of broadening the scope of what we do, where we can impact more students. Everybody is kind of aware or abreast of mental health issues now, so hopefully we can take this opportunity to broaden the scope and reach more students this upcoming school year.
Sounds terrific. Well, you guys are doing great work. And again, we're really grateful for what you're doing for children and for families. And we're excited to partner in this effort with you. And thank you both very much. And thank you both for coming on and sharing. I really appreciate it.